Podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're the Morning Throners. We got Cat 2 on deck. Feels like we've had more Cat, but I guess not.
Yeah, only Cat. Wait, what'd you say? Which Cat?
This
episode?
is Cat 2.
Cat 3. I sent the wrong. When I sent the.
Oh,
I sent the wrong one. I tricked you.
You just sent me up
Sometimes
for
I keep you guys on your toes by sending you the wrong number to. Yes, Cat 3.
Before we get too deep, though, I mean, you gotta clear the air here that we are down a member. You know.
What? Glow's not here?
That wasn't Glow. I know. We probably fooled you. We pulled some old audio. Yeah.
Yeah, Glow,
we are on the power kill.
Glow's been working some late nights down, traveling for work. So he had a late night driving back tonight, and he has an early start to the morning, so we missed today. But we're still trucking because we're running low on podcasts. But yeah, I think we'll be fine. Glow, nobody likes Cat anyway.
We'll be fine. No one likes Cat.
I don't know, but we got some pushback the last time we cut him out. That was why I wasn't sure. But
I was in a voice chat with Jeff the whole time I was taking notes in this chapter. I love this chapter. But just like we should. I feel like we should ask Kyle what he thinks before I say anything. I just love this chapter. Seeing Renly and Stannis just like face
calm
to face.
down.
Gets me fired up.
Yeah, no, it was the first time those two met in our vision, right? So I mean that was pretty interesting to see their relationship. We knew they didn't like each other, obviously, from the setup, but it kind of was came to a head, you know.
Yeah. They're so similar, but I feel like they're very similar but opposite at the same time. It just makes it
Well,
great.
I mean, I think all of the Baratheons are kind of the same as they're stubborn-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
they're
each of
definitely
them
all
are
stubborn.
each of them are stubborn,
100%.
even but they're stubborn in their own ways. Like I don't. It's not even like that. They have their own personalities, but they have very similar characteristics as well.
Well, that's the other thing is like not only is it the first time we're seeing these two interact, but it's like the first time we're seeing like really any Baratheons interact. Like Renly was around Robert a little bit. Like he was in the room, I think, when he like when Joffrey was, or like when the whole wolf thing happened, like with Joffrey, you remember, and like they're like kill the wolf. Like Renly was in the room like laughing at Joffrey, but like I don't know if there's ever any direct dialogue between Renly and Robert in any of the like Game of Thrones chapters before Robert dies. So like this is the first time we see any Baratheons interact, which I think majorly interact.
The family Baratheon versus the Renly just telling Ned to
exactly
help him out and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's a little bit weird how different personality wise the three people are. Right, they were all brought up the same way basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's a huge nurture difference. Like I guess Rob and Stannis were more fighters. We don't really hear of Renly ever fighting or needing to fight. He might have been too young. But like Rob cares about like whoring and drinking. Stannis doesn't care about that at all. And then Renly's like a man of the people, like wants to be seen, politician type. It's just strange how other than them being stubborn, they are very different.
And we'll get into it, but I think that you are on something there. I think I agree that Stannis and Robert are like on the military, like have that side in common, but I think Renly kind of has the same in common with Robert in terms of like the whoring. Not that Renly's whoring, but like enjoying life, living the moment, like
enjoying the perks of being a lord type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, well, you got to live it. Like, and he says that a little bit later. We'll talk about it, but I think like
I was just gonna say that's in the intersecting part of their Venn diagram.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that Robert and Renly share, and then Robert and Stannis share the other thing. Yeah.
Three-way Venn, and then in the middle is just stubborn asshole, right?
Stubborn black hair and black hair. All right, so we know that we're getting set up here for a Stannis and Renly meeting out in the middle of a field, but Kat's the only one there with her squire.
Captain Obvious, Hallis Mullen. And that's like the only really descriptive thing George's ever given us about Hallis Mullen, and it just rings true. If you just remember that every time you see Hallis Mullen, it just like makes every time he says anything kind of funny. Because every time Cat...
He's what? Oh, Captain Obvious.
Because anytime he says anything, Cat just like, yeah, no shit. Like he's like, we're the first ones here. And she's like, yeah, no shit. We're the only ones in this field.
I didn't remember that he was Captain Obvious, but that makes a ton of sense
now.
though.
And then like two people start walking from Stannis' camp and she's like, he's like, that must be Stannis. And she's like, yeah, thank you, Hallis.
Yeah. It's a lot funnier now that I remember.
It's like, it's not that funny, but like if you just remember that Hallis is Captain Obvious, it's just like, you can tell Kat's kind of like, not annoyed, but she just like, she points it out every time too. I don't know.
She just grits through her teeth like Stannis.
Yeah. So yeah, where are they? Where are we starting?
Right outside of Storm's End.
Do we want to get a last time on, I know Glow's not here, but.
Last time, Catelyn showed up at Renly's camp, and Brienne we met Brienne. She earned the color guard spot. Cat and Renly talked about.
She was trying to get him to help Rob with Tywin.
And then we got word that Stannis was sieging Storm's End.
Yep, at the very end. And then we're here. And they cover it a little bit later, but basically what's happened since then and now is Renly has left everybody that basically doesn't have a horse behind and taken all his cavalry to, she says, like kind of like Rob did, taking all his cavalry to Storm's End to meet Stannis right away.
Because they were faster.
Yeah, just because he can get there faster. Yeah. Kind of to the Robert, like to the, like the stubbornness thing, just like full head, go at it. But yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But that just like brings us up to where we are. So yeah, so they're having this like parlay, and Kat's kind of like
parlay,
the mediator. Yeah,
you told her parlay.
I want to really try parlay one time and see at thieves. Like if we know we're like fighting a galleon and they like board us, and if I just like yell parlay, if like somebody would respect that if you did it enough times and see it thieves.
If you did it enough times,
somebody be like, all right, Captain, hold on,
parlay. You told her about the parlay.
And then they fucking sink them. Mid parlay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pirate.
So Kat does have a little bit of a flashback with Ned being down in here because he broke the siege of Storm's End back in the day in Robert's Rebellion.
And Stannis was down his shoe leather.
Standing in this very field.
This it was a forest. I don't know if it was a forest, but it was a grove. Yeah. So that's what she was wondering. She's like, I wonder if Ned was like resting under these trees that Stannis has cut down for catapults and stuff. And she's kind of thinking that it's also useless because we get like this cool hit. I think it's a really cool history of, again, it's probably more mythology than history of Storm's End. Jeff, go ahead.
The songs that said Storm's End had been raised in ancient days by Durin, the first Storm King, who had won the love of the fair Elenai, daughter of the sea god and the goddess of the wind. On the night of their wedding, Elenai had yielded her maidenhood to a mortal's love, and thus doomed herself to a mortal's death, and her grieving parents had unleashed their wrath and sent the winds and waters to batter down Durin's hold. His friends and brothers and wedding guests were crushed beneath collapsing walls or blown out to sea. But Elenai sheltered Durin with her arms, so he took no harm. And when the dawn came at last, he declared war upon the gods and vowed to rebuild. 5 more castles he built, each larger and stronger than the last, only to see them smashed asunder when the gale winds came howling up Shipbreaker Bay, driving great walls of water before them. His lords pleaded with him to build inland. His priests told him he must placate the gods by giving Elenai back to the sea. Even his small folk begged him to relent. Durin would have none of it. A 7th castle he raised, most massive of all. Some said the children of the forest helped him build it, shaping the stones with magic. Others claimed that a small boy told him what he must do, a boy who would grow to be Bran the Builder. No matter how the tale was told, the end was the same. Though the angry gods threw storm after storm against it, the 7th castle stood defiant, and Durin, Godsgrief, and fair Elenai dwelt there together until the end of their days. Gods do not forget, and still the gales came raging out the narrow sea. Yet Storm's End endured, through centuries and tens of centuries, a castle like no other. Its great curtain walls was 100 feet high, unbroken by arrowslit or postern, everywhere rounded, curving, smooth. Its stones fit so cunningly together that nowhere was crevice nor angle nor gap by which the wind might enter. That wall was said to be 40 feet thick at its narrowest, and near 80 on the seaward face, a double course of stones with an inner core of sand and rubble. Within that mighty bulwark, the kitchens and stables and yards sheltered safe from the wind and wave. Of towers there was but one, a colossal drum tower, windowless where it faced the sea, so large that it was granary and barracks and feast hall and lord's dwellings all in one, crowned by massive battlements that made it look from afar like a spiked fist atop an upthrust arm.
Nice. Every time we get like a big description of a new castle like this, it's like, I don't know, I guess I just never really took in like the actual imagery of it when I read them the first time, and I'm like, damn, this is my new favorite castle. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like the
this one,
then Harrenhal, now this one, I'm just like, damn, this is so fucking cool. It's so bad.
I think this one's 3 of 3 of the last 3 we've heard.
80 feet thick, that's what they said?
I mean, it's definitely shit. Like crazy, but like, does it look that cool? It looks like a big donut. With a fucking
just a huge circle with a tower that sticks up a little bit higher than I guess than the 100-foot wall.
A pretty sweet castle, but it doesn't. There's no windows, like there's no view, man.
Yeah, like the curb appeal has to be awful.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't look good, but like, it's
not cooler than the Vale. It's not cooler than the Vale. It's not cooler than Harren. Even with Harren burnt to the like,
but just like the practicality of it too, like. Stannis stood a siege for so long, and like they get to the end of it, like Mathis Rowan, one of like Renly's older knights, like Kat says in the last chapter that Mathis Rowan used to visit her dad, so he's probably one of the older ones. He's saying like, dude, fuck this, let's just leave. That guy, like nobody's gonna ever siege Storm's End. He has enough food to last for like years. Like nothing, like they can't do anything to him in there. It's literally impenetrable. Like what the fuck are they gonna do?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a badass castle. It's just so cool.
It's not a badass.
As
I mean,
far as
it's
being a castle, yeah, it's good.
Being practical, it's a very practical castle. Yeah, in terms of like,
it fulfills Castleman.
Like you're saying, curb appeal. Yeah, not so much.
I mean, if it just had like a window facing the ocean, you know, like you could go out there and look.
yeah.
But I understand, like they don't want the water coming in, the wind coming in.
Yeah, I mean, after 6 castles getting destroyed by that, I mean, maybe that was the
Is
first.
that true?
Maybe
like I mean, do we?
That's what they said.
Like, I know, but I mean, they also said that it was like the god of the water was.
Yeah, I know, but
no longer.
If there was
married a man,
but if there was a previous castle, I bet you had a window, and I bet you the window broke or something during a storm.
Oh yeah, probably.
Like,
yeah.
You know, that's
it's all functional. I'm sure. I'm sure it's all a functional decision.
Yep.
All right. So this is when Stannis comes up, and he's all.
House pointed out. Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Captain Obvious, but Stannis is all red got up here.
Yeah, she notices even from afar, like, it's got to be Stannis because who else would be coming? But, like, what is that banner?
What the fuck's he wearing?
Yeah, what's that banner?
First
yellow
off,
banner?
She's saying yellow versus gold. Be hard. I feel like that'd be hard to tell from afar, but who knows? Maybe it's like shiny. They have metallic paint.
Yeah, she doesn't see that well.
But then the sigil inside's red instead of black, which gives.
Yellow and gold are very different colors. Bright yellow is not a gold.
Like the Packers are green and gold, but it's just yellow.
I think that's because they mislabeled their color.
That's like when they say
that's a Packers problem.
Like that's like teal is blue. Teal is blue.
It's like Michigan is maize. Like they're like that's yellow.
It's a subset. Gold is a subset of yellow. Teal is a subset of blue.
Depends on what like.
It says bright yellow. This is like yellow, like sun yellow versus
big bird yellow,
richer gold. Like, come on.
I mean, on a car paint job, when you think from afar, and stuff,
gold might look a little. Gold might maybe it looks a little bit more brown than yellow.
But on a banner,
goldish.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I gotcha. Doesn't matter.
Right, whatever. So we know he has a bannerman or a banner woman, I should say.
Yes.
Well, yeah, somebody's coming with him. Yeah.
It's weird. Both of them brought a banner woman, and Kat's a woman, so everybody's got one guy, one girl. It's not weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Kat and Hollis being one guy, one girl. Yeah. It's the red woman. Once they meet, bam, right away, Kat just to the jugular.
What'd she say? I don't remember.
Calls him Lord.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
He doesn't care though. It's one thing.
He cares.
I think
but does she know?
She has to know.
Did Renly tell her last chapter that he was coming?
Maybe.
I think it even says
maybe
something
not
because
she didn't get the letter. She didn't get the letter.
Well, no. I think it says something like he didn't say anything about it because she was talking to Renly all last chapter. She has to know Stannis.
Yeah. And the whole journey here. You're right. They had to have known.
So she knows he's claiming himself king.
Because it says like he clenched his teeth, but he didn't say anything about the title. Is like what Kat thinks to herself, which is I just think that's awesome. But Renly last chapter, to his credit, like I think Kat came up and said Lord Renly, and somebody corrected.
Brienne was,
and Renly was like, it doesn't matter. And Renly was like, it doesn't really matter. I think is kind of how Renly reacted at first.
Yeah.
Not saying Renly isn't the same.
Just another observation too is that she could see Stannis' army set up around the siege and not much going on.
Not huge.
We kind of knew that, from his what's his name?
Davos and
Davos, yeah.
He was not great on numbers. And she's thinking to herself that like Renly told her she knew that Renly wouldn't get here first. Stannis was going to show up first because Renly was going to wait till Stannis was like even halfway there before he even came out. So like, and she's like, this is just a game King's play, but I'm the king, so fuck this. So that's why she came out first. But again, it's kind of badass. She's just like, I hate all that bullshit. All the ceremony, the ceremony of it.
The ceremony.
Yeah, I hate that. So Stannis, again, to point for Stannis in my book, he's dressed like pretty plainly. He does go a little extra with like the crown and the belt, but for the most part, just like leather, right? Renly, when he gets up, he's dressed a little fancier, I think. But
he's actually wearing like his colors. He changed his sigil though too, right?
No, he's just got a crown stag.
But isn't it like black on like a
That's what it was.
I thought it.
We'll get there.
I thought it was just green and gold. Like I thought they were like Packers
so
colors.
I always thought Baratheons were green too. Like I don't know why I thought Baratheons were green when I got the logo made, and like when I was like they're just black and gold. There's no green. Like I don't know why I thought that. Their sigil has no green. It's just black. It's like just black.
Interesting.
Or black and yellow.
Right.
Sorry, not gold. Stannis is gold, right?
Isn't it red?
Is it?
Stannis' sigil is red, but I forget which Baratheon. One of them is yellow background, and one of them is gold background.
I'll try and find it when Renly comes up.
Rich gold of Renly's standards.
Yeah.
It says
so
right here.
Stannis is yellow. So he's Renly's black and gold.
Black. I thought it was green.
Me too.
I thought it was green.
I always thought it was Packers, but it turns out it's Steelers. So whatever. Still pretty cool colors.
We get a little bit of back and forth with Stannis and Ned. Just like their relationship kind of, and Stannis is like I'm sorry for your loss, but I didn't really care for him.
First he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know, dude. She's like, I
don't know. I don't want to be here either, man.
Yeah, and then she's like, it was Ned that saved you from the siege, so he's not your enemy. And Stannis was like, yeah, but he didn't do it because he liked me. He just did it because Robert told him to. And he's like, I won't deny he does his duty, which gives him at least some credit in my book. But he shouldn't have been hand. I should have been hand. And that's kind of the chip on Stannis' shoulder. One thing to point out, we find out here Stannis already knew about the whole Joffrey stuff, but Ned was trying to write to Stannis to say yo, you're the rightful king, and here's proof there's this incest. But Cersei found that letter. We find that out in remember there was a Sansa chapter where Cersei. Mm-hmm. So Stannis never knew that Ned was actually pulling for him towards the end of Ned's life, which makes a lot of this make a lot more sense from Stannis' perspective. Again, Stannis I think is being a little bit harsh, but he didn't know at all that what we think that Ned was the last few chapters Ned's Stannis didn't know any of that.
Stannis just feels like everybody's doing him wrong and that he deserves so much though.
He's a woe is me guy. Yeah, he's a woe is me.
Yeah, but I mean, if everything he knows is
he's
right,
not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
He's got in the way of the world. He's not wrong.
But he is.
But
why?
Because he picked Ned. That wasn't rightfully his position. He picked Ned.
Yeah.
That would be the one thing I would say. It's not yours. He could pick whoever the fuck he wants. He already picked Jon Arryn, right? It's
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's the king.
Yeah.
That's not what's right, technically. He just felt that because I'm the middle brother and next in line, I deserve it. Now,
should he have gotten Storm's End?
Yes. I think that's where all the other kind of resentment stems from.
I mean, they even explained that in the last one, that Dragonstone is more important to hold.
Yeah, but if he would have gotten well, I don't know, because Cersei, they did say that. That's what Davos told Stannis. But in the Tyrion Cersei chapter, Cersei told Tyrion, oh yeah, you should have seen Robert's or the face on Stannis when he gave Renly Storm's End. We thought his teeth were going to burst because he clenches. Yeah, you're right. He did do it a little bit as a slight. So you're right. There's it goes both ways. But what I'm just saying is, I think if Stannis would have gotten Storm's End, I don't think he really gives a fuck that he doesn't get named hand, right? Or that he gives a fuck that I think it lets a lot of the other stuff go. Yeah. So a lot of it stems from that, which is I think kind of funny by Robert when you think about it. He was probably cracking up when that happened, but also just don't be a dick. But also Stannis shouldn't take it so hard. Who cares? Sure. That's my point of view.
All right. Well, now Stannis is talking about Renly. They get a little bit of back and forth. Well,
the way that it gets into Renly, I think, is when Stannis says, he's basically at the end of the Ned conversation, she's like, I wasn't really friends with him, but I'll give you justice for him when we take the city. Right. And she's like, man, all these kings, Renly, Stannis, they just love promising
the heads. Yeah. Okay.
And she's like, your brother promised me the same thing, but it's not what I care about.
I just want Sansa and Arya.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, well, I'll send them to you when I take the city. And she got the hint from his voice that he doesn't really give a shit if they were alive or dead. I didn't get he was gonna kill them, but if the Lannisters killed them, he didn't really, he wouldn't have really cared. He just would have sent their
it wasn't a priority. It's just you'll get the bodies.
Exactly.
And they start talking frankly, and this goes into what I brought up was she was like, well, when are you doing that? You could go kill Cersei right now, go take King's Landing, but instead
you fucking came here, way out of your way.
And he's just
he's like, all right, you're being frank, I'll be frank.
Yeah, right. I'm coming right back at your ass.
All these people that are with Renly, they should be with me. He's like, they're breaking, again, to his justice duty thing, they're breaking their duty, they're breaking the law, whatever they should be. They're rightfully mine. I need them, so I'm here to get them, is basically what he says.
And he's pretty much look, I don't really give a fuck about Renly either, but this is mine. And if he falls in line, he can have his seat or whatever he wants, and we'll just move on. But If it's a fight he wants, it's a fight he'll get.
And Kat's like, she's like that. You can't blame Renly for that. I mean, which is not 100% true, but she's like, the men will put their allegiance where they will. Like, they're sworn to Baratheons. You're both Baratheons. It's like, she kind of takes the...
I don't agree with that.
Yeah, if you guys become friends, they'll all fight for you, both of you.
Put aside your quarrel. Yeah, and he's like, I have no quarrel. As long as Renly does what he's supposed to do, and he owes me loyalty. What he's supposed to do is be my younger brother and do whatever the fuck I say. And Kat's like, oh my God, this is going to be a problem. And
then it goes into Robb, too,
yeah,
right?
that's when Stannis brings up Robb. He's like, so what is it? Is that why you're here? Because Renly and Robb are on the same team now? And Kat's like, no. It's not how it is.
He's a king. He's a king, too. It's just a little bitch fest. It's like little boys at the playground and a girl.
I'm the king.
Yeah.
I'm the king.
I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, she says that he sides with no one. He's a king claims the North, but he
is open to friendships.
Yeah, it says
with everybody.
Yeah, friendships to everybody. Enemies with nobody, friendships to everybody right now. And
Kings
Stannis
have
says,
no friends.
Yeah, only subjects and enemies. And I'm a king, so you guys are my subjects, apparently. Yeah. Turns out we're not friends. You guys are actually my subjects.
And brothers.
Yeah. And brothers.
I love that too, dude. I love this entrance by Renly. Brothers.
Maybe I thought it was green because they're just always wearing green. Like in the most, like he's wearing a green velvet doublet.
I think his he has an emerald maybe stag on his crown.
Emerald, the crown of gold and roses girded his temples, jade stags.
His neck.
Jade's green, right?
Yeah, Jade's green.
There we go.
Yeah, I think Renly's entrance is great because it's just like, Stannis, chill out, dude. Like, he's taking it so serious. Like, kings only have enemies. He's like, and brothers, what about me? It's like, which one am I? And we're about to find out.
All right, so Brienne's with him. We kind of hit on that earlier as his banner woman.
But I don't know that Stannis knows that though, right?
No,
like, I don't know that it matters.
Yeah,
that it's Brienne,
but it's a lady. Yeah.
No, I mean, Kat says like she's pretty well hidden with.
She points out that like her gender would be hidden. What color is she wearing too? Like
it's like blue.
Is
right?
it blue? I was like got confused because I was a little confused because I thought that like each knight was given a color, but then I knew they wore rainbow cloaks. So I was like, hold on.
The one guy's wearing all red with a rainbow cloak.
Their plate armor is all one color, and then they all have rainbow cloaks.
She was already that color in the battle, the tournament in the last.
They were calling her the blue. They were calling her the blue.
Yeah,
I would assume she isn't her like family color blue too.
But no, you're right. The reason I think you're both right, but I do think like the whole thing is like they're all one color. I think that's a thing just because of the guy later on, Royce.
So he just got lucky. She just got lucky that her color was not already taken.
I guess because then there's a guy called Guyard the Green, but maybe they call him Green because like he threw up on a sea journey or something. But like again, maybe he's the green one.
Or he's a coward.
I'm pretty sure Guyard the Green is one of the ones in Renly's Rainbow Guard. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. But again,
fair enough. I think blued metal is like a thing, though, right? Like
well, they're painting everything.
Well, they're just like mixing dye into the melted steel. Again, I don't know if that's how that works. No, like they're doing something like that.
Like that's a type of steel, I think. Blued steel.
Oh yeah, I don't know. All right,
we need a blacksmith on the podcast.
Yeah, somebody better than me.
So the first note I have about this conversation is he immediately jokes about Stannis' banner.
It starts with the Lord Renly, and then it gives him King Renly. So this kind of flips what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, King. He wants to be king now that Stannis is there.
I feel like it's different though. Like I feel like if Renly would have called Stannis Lord, Stannis would have.
He would have barked back.
Yeah,
I think he would have barked back.
It depends on who it's coming from. I think a little bit too. But yeah, you're right. I thought the same thing. And then you start talking about the banner. He's like, "What?" He's like, "I wasn't sure that was you based on your banner." He's like, "Whose is that?" Stan's like, "It's mine." He's like, and this was one. I think like the one of two times that Melisandre speaks, and she's like, "It's the fiery heart of the Lord of Light." And Renly just like jokes, just plays off his jokes like, "Oh, that's a good thing because we would use the same banner."
The battle would have been very confusing. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Did you ever try that in like a sport game, like by accident? Like you pick
for sure.
your jersey and then you forget to set the other teams, and you're like, "Oh my god, I just fucked everything."
I thought there was a thing in the NBA this year where like two teams are accidentally wearing like very similar colors, like they're both wearing white or something like that, and the only difference was like the fringe around like the shoulder cut out.
It does. I don't. Maybe like.
There was like
it wouldn't have been like that, but like some teams' colors colored jerseys could be pretty light, but
I think it might have been like college or WNBA or
Or
something,
just-
but it definitely
they
happened. It
traveled
was
with
on
the
like
wrong
sports.
ones or
It was on
something.
Sports
Yeah.
Center or something like that.
We'll
Like the
have
only
to look it
difference
up.
was like the fringe on the
trim.
outside. And they both had like white, and like the color of the numbers might have been different, but there was like once or twice where the person like really quick looked and like passed it and just passed it to
Yeah.
the next team.
for sure. Definitely happened to me a ton growing up. But Kat's discussed it this whole time. She's just like, these two are playing at war. I guess not really playing at war, but like she's like, oh, Rob's the only one actually helping the realm right now. The only one fighting for a good cause is Rob.
Yeah.
Well, and she's kind of right. These two are out here bickering, and the realm is getting destroyed. Like literally, there's like fucking pillaging crews going around just doing whatever they want in the center of the island or whatever it is, continent.
Yeah.
And these two are out here just dickering around over top of Storm's End over like a pissing contest.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
pretty
a pride thing. Like instead of like actually trying to do what they should be
much.
doing.
Like deal with that and then deal with this.
Yeah.
Like that's what she's pretty much trying to say.
And I blame Stannis because he started it. I mean, but the other thing is like Stannis had to start it. Like he might not have.
Is right.
He might not have had the men to take King's Landing, so he might not have had another option. Renly has another option, and he's just not the bigger man. So
Well, and we even know like Renly's like feasting his way up the Rose Road.
yeah,
Right. So
Yeah.
like he's not in a rush at all. He's like, oh, let me set up a tourney here while we're chilling.
Yeah, and I think that's that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where he's not the military mind of the three.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, he's kind of inexperienced with this kind of stuff, I guess.
yeah,
You know.
and he's like again, I don't remember how Kat describes it later, but like, he doesn't think about his actions. He just like acts on them really quick. I don't know what that's called, but like she was talking about how it's very similar
Impulsive?
to Robert. Yeah, impulsive. But Robert had Ned to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't just completely run away from all
Yeah.
the food we have. And Renly doesn't have that guy yet. So like that's like another difference. But yeah, Kat's basically spelling it out. She's like, Tywin has 20,000 people at Harrenhal. There's the remnants of Jaime's army at the Golden Tooth. The rest of them, they're getting a new army near Casterly Rock. Like, and you guys are just doing nothing. Like, what the fuck? And Renly's like, Rob's won a few, but I'll win everything. I'm gonna win the war. And he's like, the Lannisters can wait on me. Like, I'm not in any rush. Which is again, just, like, not very. I feel like not
And
very
it's to a
king-like.
point too, like it's pretty soft, but it's like, oh, there's four. He's third partying. He's doing
Exactly.
a fucking Call of Duty deal. He's like, yeah, you two fight, and then I'll clean up the third guy.
Exactly.
He's just being soft.
Yeah.
But
So Stannis is getting tired of it. And he's like, all right, tell me what we're here for, or I'm getting out. I'm not here to just like listen to nonsense.
right,
And he's like, all right, I propose you get off your horse and bend the knee and basically swear fealty to me. And Stannis,
he doesn't like the.
Stannis gets a little fired up. Yeah.
It's cool how he just crescendos his rage throughout the whole
Yeah.
fucking chapter.
Yeah. At the end, he's
He's like pretty cool at the
Yeah.
first one. Now he's like getting angry, and he's like, "Fuck this! Like I'm gonna kill you
Well,
right
Renly's
now."
everyone's got those people that like just know exactly how to like get under their
Oh,
skin, and
poke
Renly is 100%
push
that
buttons.
for Stan. I mean, they're that for each other. I think Renly goes over like crosses the line towards the end, but I think Stannis crosses the line
But that
first.
kind of goes back into what I was saying before with the whole family dynamic
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like, I
exactly.
think you can get away with a little bit further,
Yeah.
pushing a little further.
Which
on that.
is what makes the conversation so great. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, but
Well, you served Robert, why not me? And he said, well,
he was my
he's
older brother.
you're younger.
The rules
And-
matter to nobody around here. Stannis like, I'm living in crazy town.
Exactly. And he's like, and now you're a thief and a usurper. Like,
Yeah, and younger and bolder and far more costly.
Well, Rob was a usurper, so I can be that too, I guess.
Yeah, I could take it. He took it.
Which is true. Like to that point, I think we talked about it with Rob. Like it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. If you have the army to take it over, they're gonna just be like, "All right, you're king now."
Who cares what they're calling you if you're sitting on the Iron Throne? Is kind of, I guess,
Right.
what he's saying here. But the thing is, he says that, but he doesn't. It's situational. I thought about this because he says that here, but it's situational because later when they're like, we could just leave and go take King's Landing right now, and he's like, no, because then men will say, it's like, well, you didn't care if they're going to call you usurper, but you care if they're going to say that you're afraid of Stannis. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who cares if you win both ways? So it's kind of
Yeah.
hypocritical, I think.
This next part here really just grinds my gears about Kat.
Why? She's right.
Like no, she's not. Like you're not in charge. Like you're not their mother. Like you're not the mother of the realm. She's like what, 40 years old? Like she's not much older than Stannis. She can't be.
Yeah, you're right.
So don't come in here like,
But they are acting like
if you were
children.
my two sons, I'd bang your heads together. Like, shut up. Like, you should have been back at the tent. Why are you here? I'm with Stannis. Why are you even here, Kat? You brought nothing to this conversation.
I feel like there's been times where we've had politicians, and I'm just like, what? They're acting like children, but they're children with nukes, which is way more dangerous. You know what I mean? And these guys don't have. Are you
talking in real life?
Yeah, 100%.
Sure.
So like, if you're like.
Okay, all right, let's just go with that.
Even
so
if you're a
think
Donald
if
Trump
like,
fan, wasn't Donald Trump like tweeted at North Korea like, hey, you can't hit us with a missile? Like, that is just stupid as fuck.
Let's just go back to like actual Game of Thrones. Or let's just say if this was real life, if a woman politician was just like, oh, you two are acting like children, I should bang your head and put you in timeout. They'd tell her to shut the fuck up too. Like, it's a waste of a comment.
Toxic
100%. 100%. I'm not saying you have to go.
Well, it could be a man. It could be a guy. It could be like, hey, you two are being children. I'm gonna Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump. I'm just gonna bang your heads together.
It's really important how
you're not getting anywhere with that comment. Like, shut up.
It's really important how you present things to people in power because they have the right to just tell you to fuck off. So I agree with you that Kat doesn't go about this the right way, but I think that Kat's right here. Like, you guys.
I'm not saying she's definitely right.
A petty squabble.
She's definitely right.
This is a petty
she's definitely
squabble.
Right.
Put it aside. Look at this from the outside for a second, you two.
But it's not a petty squabble to either of them.
I know.
It's not like she's their mom. She has no power over them. So like the comment just goes nowhere and actually backfires because now Stannis is like, well, your son's a traitor too, and I'm coming for his ass next.
It does the opposite. It almost fires them both up more. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's like, yeah, exactly. I'm coming for her next. And then she gets mad and then she fires back.
Yeah, she's like, well, I mean, how can you say that? Because now here you are, you're doing the same thing, being a usurper. You know, you're going to go in there and knock Joffrey, the rightful king, off, and Tommen, and like.
She does say this without knowing anything.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
It's pretty crazy that she hasn't heard yet. How has she not heard? How is that still a secret to her?
George does this thing where there's like a piece of news that like when you hear it, it's shocking, but then like. There's like three, you hear it for the first time for like from the point of view of different chapters, like 3 or 4 of the times. And like, it's not amazing for you, but it's like amazing for the character. And it's like kind of fun to watch it play out. Like Catcher's like, holy fuck, like, oh my God, like this makes total sense based on this letter Lysa sent me and like everything else. Like
she has like a huge flashback. Exactly, oh no, my whole life is a lie.
Exactly.
I just found out this.
And we're like, dude, come on, Kat. Like Arya found this out last chapter. I think like Bran found it out like 3 chapters ago. Like you're so late to the game on this one. Come on, catch up. But
well, and you would have thought that this would have came to her somewhere along the road here.
Agreed.
Like Renly would have made a joke about it or something, you know, like, or in the camp, somebody would have said something about it. I guess what I'm saying is that you would think that all the banter and shit going on in camp, like that's a long travel, right? How long were they on the road for? Months? A month?
Well, Kat got to Renly about a month ago. Yeah. She was on the road for a while before that.
She should know.
I meant on the road with Renly.
Yeah, about a month.
Who knew this stuff, you know.
She should know for sure. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense that she hasn't heard.
She doesn't know because it's exciting to see it in a POV chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. After this, she does bring up Lysa's accusation. She's kind of tying it all together now. Like, Cersei had Jon Arryn killed. Cersei was going to kill... does she know why she would have killed Bran? She doesn't put that 2 and 2 together.
I don't think she knows that she was trying to kill him even.
Yeah, I don't think she got that. Yeah, all she thinks is the letter from Lysa, and then when she took Lysa to Littlefinger, she's like, yeah, she said it was Tyrion, and they're like, well, if you stepped in a pit of snakes, doesn't matter which one bites you. Like, because she's like, yeah, Lysa said it was Cersei at first, but then she changed her story to Tyrion, and they're basically saying like, it doesn't matter, it's all the same thing. Like they're all one, they're on the same team is the way that these guys see it.
This is when Renly...
Well, Renly kind of... I think we're jumping around a little bit, but Renly's like, well, Stannis, can you prove this?
I've skipped a lot. I didn't write down a lot of like the back and forth little quotes.
No, you're good.
Like
he's like, can you prove this? And I think like he like smiles at him when he says that. Right? So what is Stannis'
Well, that's
proof?
Just like, how do you prove?
Well,
hold
on. Stannis has said he has proof.
He's got a fucking book of colored hair.
Stop. Kyle, do you remember Stannis' proof? Yeah, Davos literally said this, I think at the very end of the last Davos chapter, like, what's your proof? And they had a conversation about it. It's not like the last line.
I know, and I'm trying to think. It wasn't the book. That was only Ned that had the book.
It's why Stannis is here.
Well, Jon Arryn had the book. And
there's a boy inside Storm's End. There's a bat runner.
That's right. Yeah. There's somebody here, right?
Exactly. So Renly smiles.
You just said that. So now.
Yeah, Renly smiles at Stannis.
I mean, that's still not proof.
If you
it's not proof.
Listen,
it's not proof.
Read the thing. What I'm trying to point out is Renly knows why Stannis is here. He knows that I think Renly knows that Stannis wants the boy, because when he's like, "What's your proof?" he smiles at him, and Stannis grits his. He doesn't say anything because like, what's he gonna? Like, there's no point. There's only 6 people here. Like he just yelling
that makes
from the
sense.
rooftop. But I think it's just so funny that Renly's like, "What's your proof, Stannis?" Just because he knows he has it locked up in a safe, just winglet it in front of Stannis' nose.
What is his proof? Say it then, because I forget.
Stannis just says one of Robert's bastards is here.
There's a bastard.
And it's like if you just look at
but
him
that's
and
still
look at Joffrey.
like that's not proof.
We've had that conversation before, whether that's proof or not.
It's just not. It's not. It's not.
I think it would convince most of the realm in this day and age when you don't have DNA evidence. I think that would convince most of the realm, especially if you got 1 or 2 of them.
You can't just tell me that you can't. I mean, if anyone is thinking in the realm, why is their seed stronger? Maybe because they've bred with Lannisters before. Is that what you're saying? Did they breed in the past together? Lannisters and Baratheons? Have they ever had a child together?
Yeah, that's what Ned found in the book, that they had done it like multiple times, and every time Baratheon and Lannister, it was always black hair.
Still not proof. It might be enough in this day and age.
I just thought like
it would at least get the people talking, and they'd be like, "Wow, this guy's huge and strong and looks like Rob." And then you get this little fucking blonde-haired twat.
Me and you are on 2 different pages. I understand what you're saying. I'm not really disagreeing with you at all. I just think the whole like Renly being like kind of like an asshole about this, like, I got it, you don't. I know why you're here. Like maybe I know why you're here. But like, oh, where's your proof? Like this would make everything perfect for you. Like, but why are you not just like? Why is it not working?
I just don't agree that it would make it perfect. Like, I don't think it does a whole lot for him. Like, you could just find a big guy with black hair and be like, oh, nope, Robert's bastard. He's a storm.
Yeah.
Like, that, you just can't do that. Yeah. Like, there's nothing saying that he's even Robert's kid.
Yeah, and I might be wrong. Neither of them say anything about it. It's all like just like in like the undertones of like the grin or whatever.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you can just find.
What does he say?
Well,
he says like smiling or whatever. He's like, do you have any proof? He says smiling.
Can you prove any word of this fable? Stannis ground his teeth. Robert could have never known. Catelyn thought, or Cersei would have lost her head in an instant. Would Stannis, she asked, if you knew the queen to be guilty of such monstrous crimes, why did you keep silent? He said, I did not keep silent. I brought my suspicion to Jon Arryn rather than your own brother, Renly. My brother's regard for me was never more than dutiful, said Stannis. From me, such accusations would have seemed peevish and self-serving, a means of placing myself first in line in the succession. I believe Robert would be more disposed to listen to Jon Arryn. And then he says, oh, so we have the word of a dead man. And then it just kind of keeps going on.
Maybe there's definitely a time where he grins. Maybe he grins
he smiles when he with the peach.
No, maybe I think it's around this. Maybe it's when they first talk about the incest, and he's like, and he calls him a liar. It's like Renly knows that this is.
Isn't that a sweet story, my lady? I was camped at Hornhill when Lord Tarley received his letter, and I must say it took my breath away. He smiled at his brother. I never suspected you were so clever, Stannis. Were it only true, you would indeed be Robert's heir.
Maybe I'm reading too far into it, but like Renly definitely knows about, maybe not the bastard, like that Stannis is a bastard, but he knows that like the incest is true, and he's like playing with Stannis a little bit. I think he's playing with Stannis.
I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah.
It's strange that he knows it's true, and he's like, oh no, it's made up, it's fake, because it just lessens his claim, right? But I just think he's like, you can't prove it. Like, you're fucked. Like, you're trying to like chase this witch hunt and you have no way of proof. I thought that's why he would be smiling, if anything, not because of the storm bastard.
I think Renly, like, again, he's not put all his eggs in any basket. He's kind of playing the I have the bigger army. It doesn't matter what's right or not. But he's also playing the like, hey, I'm not just going to hand this to you if I don't have to. Like, I'm not just going to like start telling everyone in the realm that, yeah, you're the rightful heir. Let's just both be rebels.
All right. So they're like, all right, whatever. This is stupid. Renly's slides his hand into his cloak. Uh-oh. Battle coming.
Yep.
Little fight. What if they just did one-on-one? That'd been a lot. That'd been pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
I know you guys hyped it up. You told me there might be fighting here, and then and it's just a bunch of talking in a field.
Just verbal fights.
I was going to say at the beginning when you asked me about the chapter is that it was exciting, but I kept waiting for something to happen.
Did we say there was going to be fighting? Oh, yeah, because we were kind of...
We talked about it. Just kind of how we haven't had the fighting in chapters now.
We might have forgot that there was a chapter. No, I didn't forget. I love this chapter.
We kind of forgot.
I knew there was a chapter.
Hand slid in the cloak. Stannis was freaking out, almost grabbed his sword.
I mean, it's not like it's a gun. Like, you'd had plenty of time to like get your sword out.
Out comes a peach.
I read this really awesome fantasy series that's like you find out like 3/4 of the way through the first book. Spoiler. I'm not going to tell you the name of the series just so maybe it's not a spoiler. You find out that it's like actually like post-apocalyptic and like nukes have gone off, like everything is just destroyed, and they call like the people who had like us, the current day and age people, the builders, because they find like our old structures and stuff.
You've told me this before.
So they're all medieval. It's like very Game of Thronesy, houses and swords and shields. And this guy like finds like a gun, like a Colt, and then he like challenges this like really good fighter to single combat, and just like totally Indiana Jones him. Like the guy like comes out, he's all fucking ready, and just like pops 4 shots right into him. Nobody has any idea what a gun is. Like it's
Does he become king,
dude? Yeah,
he's got to become king.
He
then
becomes king. But the series is about him becoming emperor.
Well, he's got a gun.
Yeah, but does anybody?
All
more
right,
ammo?
so Renly pulled out the peach. It's kind of weird. He's like, "Hey, you want to try my peach?" And he's like, "I didn't come here for fruit."
Yeah,
they just
Renly's
keep
like,
talking, right? It just keeps on going on, and then it goes to the part and I was like, "All right, Stan, it's like you're here for Storm's End. Like, take it. I'll give it to you." And that's just real.
I will
That's
say
just like
I love
another-
the peach thing. I'm really confused by it. I don't know what the fuck it means at all. I feel like it has to mean something. I love it. It's just like
It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't
I
make
think
any
it's just
sense to me at
showing
all.
how fucking nonchalant about all this
Yeah,
Renly is.
yeah.
He doesn't care. He's out here eating peaches, joking around with his brother still. His brother's literally standing here ready to kill him. And he's just, being a dick.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like to the very beginning when he's like, Stannis is like, kings only have friends or subjects and enemies and brothers. Like, he's just all joke to him. Yeah, that's like the best I can get it too.
And Cat's getting more and more pissed.
He's got the huge army to bet. Like, what's
Yeah,
he worried
exactly.
about right
He
now?
knows he has nothing to
not
worry
worried
about.
And this
about
is
shit.
also
Yeah.
where I get the connection to Robert. What does he say? Like, life is short, Stannis. Like, you should never refuse to eat a peach. Like, Robert would eat the fuck
Yeah.
out of this peach. You know what I mean? Like, this
YOLO.
is I feel like Robert wouldn't
They're
be
YOLO.
as
Put YOLO in the
cordial
Venn
about this, but
diagram.
this is a Robert thing. Yeah.
Remember what the Starks say. Winter is coming.
Yeah, eating peaches will be in the Stannis Renly Venn diagram. Or Robert Stannis. We got to make this
I
out.
was just going with a YOLO.
Renly.
Robert Renly.
You picked every combination except the right one.
Yeah. Those are hard. And we're drinking.
So, like I said, he gives him Storm's End. That just really pisses him off. And then there's mention, the next talk is of Marjorie. Like, just a little bit ago, you were scheming to get Marjorie to be Robert's queen, and here you are with a new wife.
Well, he's like, you didn't even come to my fucking wedding, is what happened first. And that's when they go into the Marjorie, what you were just saying. Like, he's like, you were just trying to hook her up with Robert, and now you're marrying her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right. What am I to do with this brother of mine, Brienne? He refuses my peach, he refuses my castle, even shunned my wedding.
So,
he didn't invite him.
Yeah, well, that's
Maybe he did invite him.
also, again, probably doesn't matter, but like he calls Brienne. So like this is Stannis like, that's a girl. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but Ari is a dude's name apparently, so maybe Brienne could be a dude's name too. Like,
names or whatever. Yeah, Game of Thrones name. Yeah,
It's a Game of Thrones name.
And then she speaks later. Again, we don't know if she has like a super girly voice, but she also speaks later.
I doubt it.
Again, I don't know if it really matters. It's just badass.
So we did know that Renly was trying to. I don't know if Kyle remembers it. I definitely wouldn't have remembered it the first time.
What?
Renly was trying to set up Rob.
I think we did talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was trying to replace Cersei with Marjorie.
Yep.
And
the thing that I remember about that is he showed
Robert
Robert
picture, and he said, "Doesn't she look like Lysa?" Or,
Lyanna.
right? Lyanna,
Yeah, Robert
sorry.
Ned's sister. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. That's all I was gonna say.
But he was like, "Oh well, don't worry. Next time you see her, she'll be with my sons. I might already have a son. She'll give me a son. How many do you have, Stannis?"
He's like, yeah. When on the wedding, he's like, you'll be glad to know she came to me a maiden. And Stannis is like, in your bed, she's like to stay one. So again, we talk about his Renly gay. Probably, like, I didn't remember Stannis just absolutely calling him out on him like
three
that.
red flags. I had
There's
3
another
red
one at the end
flags.
of the chapter here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's very
Yeah,
open-handed
for
with
sure.
Loras towards the end. Yeah.
But then he does a low blow back to Stannis here. He kind of throws the other rumor at him. Like the one rumor is Joffrey's a bastard. Now he says, well, your wife banged a fool.
He's like, I wouldn't. Yeah,
this-
I'd send a fool to service my wife too, which is what I'm saying. Like, I think Renly crossed the line by going there, but Stannis crossed it a little bit first. Stannis didn't straight out just to say it. Like, he implied it.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He heavily
said
implied it. Renly's just like, yeah, you're having a wife, or you're having a fool fuck your wife, and it's making a
So then he
ugly
pulls
daughter.
out Lightbringer, right?
Pulls out.
Shing.
Yeah.
And it is fucking dope.
Glowing, red,
It's
yellow,
like glowing
white,
and
hot.
changing colors. Yeah, it's crazy.
Cat's pretty amazed by
The
it.
coolest thing about it, I think, is when he puts it away and Kat says it seemed like some
Yeah.
of the light went out of the world.
So I remember they were burning everything in the other chapter. Where did the sword come from? I know he grabbed it out of the fire, but I forget like the whole story.
There was a story of Azor Ahai. He forged a sword. He had to kill. He
killed 3 things.
I think he might have just tempered it in water and it shattered. Then he tempered it in a lion's heart and it shattered. And then he tempered it in his wife's heart and then it became light.
So who did he kill with it? Though?
Nisa, his wife. Azor Ahai killed his wife, Nisa.
Yeah, but then where did the sword come from just now?
Stannis pulled it out of a fire. That's the first time we saw it. And now
how did it get in the fire?
They put it. They put it in there.
You
remember the like prologue or epilogue?
No, I remember the whole thing. Like I said, they were burning all the old god stuff, and that was the big fire. Like I do remember it. I just didn't remember when this sword. I remembered him coming with, like it appearing, but I don't remember where.
Didn't he like put it down in the sand too? Like when he walked back up to the castle, he like
sticks it in the sand,
dumped it in the sand.
Yeah. I mean, it was actually on fire that time, which like you can't really see how like I guess you can't really see what it looked like, but yeah, it looks badass. Yeah.
So Stannis pulls out Lightbringer and he's like,
one of my favorite quotes in the whole book when Stannis.
Well, then you might as well read it.
Stannis pulls it out. Oh no, I guess when he points it at what's his brother say? His brother. There's a little bit. I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but Stannis. I mean, I'll just go to it. Stannis points at his brother, and it says Stannis pointed his shining sword at his brother. I am not without mercy, thundered he who was notoriously without mercy. I just love that little line. It's so good.
That's good. You're all fired up by that yesterday.
I got fired up about it yesterday too. I don't know, man.
But he's like, I'll give you the night, right? Doesn't he give him a night to think about it?
He's like, you're my brother. I owe you at least one night, pretty much. He's like, you can fix what you just fucked up right here.
Yeah,
think about it.
And what I skipped between him pulling it out and pointing at Renly was Bran jumping in front and Kat thinking that Cersei must be laughing herself breathless in King's Landing, which we saw. She was. She like literally Tyrion told her this. They were both cracking up and like drinking wine and shit. I love it. So good.
But Renly's like, dude, shut up. Like, I'm gonna win my king with this person and that person and like a list of like
names
50
all
names.
Of houses, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to go through that. So
Tywell, Rowan, Tarly, Karen, Tarth, Penrose.
I just said we're not going to go through
Blackbar,
it.
Morgan, Beesbury, Sheemer, Dunn, Foley, and even Florent hit Stannis' wife's own uncles and cousins. I was waiting for you to say we weren't going to go through it until I started reading it.
Okay.
He says all the knights in the South are only a part of my power. He said,
"Yeah, and and my vanguard will take you out in one charge."
He's like, you got what, five grand people over there? That's even being nice.
And they're all codfish lords and onion knights. Call it on my boy.
Come the dawn, we'll see.
Is there or are there more onion knights than Davos?
I don't think so, but
but I think he was just making fun of Davos.
Yeah, well,
right?
he also does say that his scouts say that Stannis only has 400 of those 5,000. Only 400 are horse, and even them they're like armored very lightly. So I think it's like just a jab at like even like the mountain men you do have aren't like armored lances. They're
onion knights. They were knighted because they brought you food when you needed food. They're not fighters.
They also talk about it later, like at White Harbor. There's no like they don't have horses. Like islands don't really have horses. Like you don't have people who know how to. Yeah. So like codfish. It's also what I'm assuming. Kind of like they already talked about it at the Iron Islands, right? There's just no horses or knights or people who know how to fight on horseback.
The onion knight, though.
I just feel like codfish lords is a jab at like
Fishermen.
people who don't know how to. Like lords who don't know how to fight.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yeah. Well, I was talking about onion knights, specifically the words onion.
I thought
knights.
that was just directed 100% at Davos.
Okay,
but I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So Stannis is like, we'll see come the dawn. He starts walking away, and Red Woman stares into Renly's soul, tells him to look at his sins.
Yep.
Or to his sins, not at him.
Look to your own sins, Lord Renly. Whatever that means.
Yeah. So then Kat and Renly start going back together.
Mm-hmm.
Renly's like, that was funny. If not too profitable. And he's like, I wonder where I can get a sword like that. I guess it doesn't matter. Loras will give it to me after the battle.
He's just fucking around.
Yeah.
He's just a young fuck fucking around.
Loras will give it to me.
A sweet, sweet summer child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Loras will give it to me.
This is when like
again, people say there's a lot of sex imagery with swords. Loras is going to give Renly a sword.
I missed that red flag.
I didn't think about it either, but I've seen like a ton of different theory videos where they say like George uses that all the time. But and now that we just spelled it out, it just kind of makes sense.
A lot of times in like medieval, I feel like oh, he gave her a sword. They joke about that too. There's a mention of just the hierarchy of like Catelyn's like, well, he is your older brother. Like he should be king above you, and he's like, that rule's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
like I'm the better person.
Yeah, he lists off this whole thing. He's like, why not me? I'm wiser and bolder and handsomer and smarter and kinder. And Cat's like, and humbler. And he's like, you got to afford a king a few flaws.
It was a good one by Cat, because I think we were all thinking that. There's one movie that I can think of where the older brother gets stepped over to the younger brother.
Is it Gladiator?
No.
In Gladiator, they gave it to his friend instead of the older brother. He just gives it to like his adopted son instead of his older brother.
He was going to, but he didn't actually get to do that.
Well, that's the whole point of the movie.
Right. But there's actual one where the younger brother takes over. He becomes in charge. And his older brother works for him. It's a Pacino movie.
Godfather?
Oh,
yeah.
Fredo's his older brother.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, Fredo's a slapdick. Fredo's no Stannis.
I know it was you, Fredo.
Fredo's no Stannis.
Yeah, but it's still the point.
Yeah, that's
like,
point.
Was Michael better? Yeah, probably. So they just like, fuck it.
It was an older brother, but
Sonny, but he died.
Yeah, he died before anything happened. Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about. I thought you were saying that. I forgot when Sonny died. I thought you were saying Don gave it to Michael over Sonny.
No.
I forgot when Sonny died.
Yeah.
I still forgot. So Godfather's awesome.
I just saw like a clip of The Godfather today on social media. I was like, shit.
You watched all of them in college, right?
I love
one weekend we just banged them all out.
Yeah. All right. So Kat just wants to go home at this point. She's like, can I leave?
She's like, this is just nothing but bullshit. Like, this got nowhere. You're wasting my time. My dad's dying. My son's dying potentially. Like, I don't need to be here.
I'm a better mourner than I am an enboy.
Yeah. And Renly's like, nah. I think you're
watch. I think you're gonna stay and watch this motherfucker.
You're gonna want to not watch this happen to your son.
He actually does that to her when he's in the tent. Not that it really matters, but in the tent with like everybody around. Like that wasn't while they were like walking back together privately. Like when they're in the tent and they decide like, oh, we are gonna have battle. That's when Kat's like, okay, then if it's 100% battle.
Oh yeah, she speaks up to everyone. Yeah, she speaks up to everyone like, all right, like I'm gonna return, and he's like, no, you're not. Yeah.
I just wonder, like, would he have just been like, yeah, get out of here? If he asked her now, is he just trying to be like a big dick in front of all his men and be like, no, you see what happens to traitors type thing?
No, I think it's a smart thing for him. Like, look, I'm gonna rain hell upon this guy. Like you'd be next if you don't want to be next. Like you're gonna prepare Rob to bend the knee to me.
Gotcha.
This is where we find out that Renly doesn't have all his men. He kind of is in a rush here because he doesn't have all this food.
Yeah.
As well, that's all behind him.
Yep.
So like he doesn't really have time to dick around with this. So it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah. There are two people that they note, like Mathis Rowan. I think you mentioned him before.
He's one of the older ones. Yeah, that's the only thing I remember. Is
like,
that
we shouldn't fight. Yeah. Like they're not going to be able to siege. Let him fucking bang at the walls for as long as he wants. Like, we can do other shit.
Yeah. And
let Stannis go. But Talia's like, nah, every day we let him go, he grows stronger, so we should just knock him out now.
They also, well, so they said that they basically can't just leave him alone completely because he'll grow too strong, is what they say. And they just can't leave him alone for a few days just because, like, to wait for their people to catch up or else they'll run out of food. And going back to what Kyle said, she thinks that Ned would have advised that they all come up, all 100,000, and then basically just encircle the encirclers, and then they're surrounded. They're fucked. But yeah, they basically decide on battle.
This is where he doesn't have a Ned. This is when we talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. So basically he goes in there. They have some of the conversation we've been talking about it. There's a bunch of the lords around, and they just decide on battle. Like Mathis Rowan tries to talk a little bit to him, but they're like, yeah, we're gonna fight. And
he starts just popping out his battle plan to the group.
Yeah, not very fancy. Just like one person on the left, one person in the middle, one person on the right, one person with reserves. But
but someone's got to run the van.
Who runs the van?
It should be me.
Yeah.
It should be me. It should be me. Oh, I'll give it to the best knight out there, the Knight of Flowers.
So then, Brienne is a little pissed, you know.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Well, Brienne doesn't care about not being. This is weird. What happened here is weird. Brienne.
No, he cares.
She doesn't care about not being in the van. But when Loras is named Van, he goes on the knee and says, "Give me someone to ride beside me carrying your banner, so that the Rose and Stag can ride beside each other, and he picks Brienne to ride beside him. So, I mean, if I'm Brienne, I'm pissed too. Does that mean she doesn't get a sword? Does that mean like Loras is gonna be out there with a sword and she's out there with a flag
the whole time?
They're probably like flag, like toss sword.
I don't know if you toss it though. Like, I mean,
nah.
Does Loras have a flag?
I bet it's their squire. Well, right, like Loras isn't going in with a flag too. They're not taking two of their best fighters in with flags. They probably have their squires probably riding next to them with the flag. You know.
Well, the thing is, Loras probably doesn't like Brienne, right? Because like she beat his ass. Like he was kind of pissed off after the tourney in the last cat chapter. Like I'm wondering, like,
whatever. Go cry me a river.
Is he saying like, "Hey, Renly, send me somebody with no weapon to ride beside me"? Wink, wink. Look at this big bitch right next to you.
No,
You know, is that what Loras is trying to do? Because he
said his flag too. No, because he said his.
That's what I'm confused by. Because he says let the stag and the rose fly next to it. Because does that just mean like she's gonna have like that sigil on like her cape or something?
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. I don't think we know.
I was confused by this. But yeah, it's weird because he requests a banner bearer.
Yeah. You know, it just brings me back to like Revolutionary Wars. Like, I got to be the drummer. Are you kidding me? Like, I can't have a gun. I was
say back to the Gettysburg thing that we talked about last
exactly.
podcast.
But the thing is, like, if you don't have to have it, I can't imagine they actually are sending her out a banner. But if they're not,
no, they're not. They're
then
not.
Think about
she
this.
has a
then
sword.
Think about this.
She has
every other lord in this tent was just begging to be in the van, and now she's like literally equal to. Like maybe not equal, number 2 to Loras in the van. Like she just one upped everybody else in this tent. Like, are they not pissed off then?
Because nobody else was gonna go be
the banner man.
Exactly. What does that mean?
It's just like she represents him. That's all it means. Like you're looking way too far into this. She's not carrying. She's not riding around a horse the whole battle, just holding the fucking banner. That's stupid as fuck. She's just representing him. That's all. Like, Loras is representing Highguarding. She's going to represent him in the Vanguard. That's all it means. I thought she was literally just mad because she wasn't going to protect him one-on-one.
So she gets pissed. She said, my place is next to you.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's got a huge crush on Renly, apparently. And, like, I swore to be your shield. And he's like, well, I got 6 other people. Like, it's cool.
I'll be
like,
good.
He'll be all right.
I thought Loras was one of them, though.
Yeah, no? It is. But I mean, he met one of 7. Like, he's like, there's a couple of you. Don't worry. I'll live.
She definitely is like, no, it's me. I'm the protector.
And I think he even says, like, I have 4 of the protectors. I think he says 4 because one of Renly, Brienne, and then I think one of the people who's in command of...
Stays with Cat?
No, I think... Well, he does give... well, you're right. You might be right. Royce is sent with Cat. But I thought maybe one of the, like, the left, right, or center guys was maybe also... Like,
might. Yeah. But she's like, well, at least let me put your armor on.
Yeah.
Like, real weird. Like, let me be your squire.
Super goofy.
I'm a fucking knight of the rainbow or whatever they are.
Exactly. That's what Kat says. Like, oh my God, you're like the highest ranking position in this guy's army. And you are stooping so low to be a squire just to touch him. Like, oh my God, this girl's in love.
Yeah, definitely embarrassing.
Which I don't know. Like, I don't know if there was any hint of that before in the last chapter. Like, she obviously, like, really wanted to be
was respecting him, and following him around and really pumped about winning the battle. But
in terms of like relationship, like I love you feelings, not the same as like she's a little bit of a Jorah Dany feeling instead of just like being like a blood rider. It's kind of what I'm getting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
at least what Kat's thinking here. Yeah.
Kat's done. She's like, I just want to go pray. Can I go pray, please?
Yeah, and again, we skipped over a little bit, but somewhere in there is where Kat's like, please let me go home, and he's like, no, you're gonna see this. You're gonna watch what happens to traitors, so you can go tell your son. And she's like, yeah, there was a sept. I need to go pray. You guys are taking it out of me.
She even goes back in town.
Yeah, well,
she cuts him here too. He's like, well, you should pray for yourself, and he's like, for victory, and she's like, nah, to be fucking smarter, like you dumbass, like this is real dumb.
For wisdom, yeah. Did you guys think anything? I feel like Kat's last words to Renly are very similar to like Mel's last words. He's like think of it on your own
look
sins.
To your sins.
And Kat's like, go pray
you should
for
look
yourself.
for wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was like, wow, that was very weird.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's pretty parallel.
That's what we were talking about. I didn't quite understand it though. 100%.
Huh.
Look into your own sins. I guess beyond the obvious meaning, I guess, like where she's like, look, you're accusing this guy of being a huge asshole, but look at yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but like
this makes more sense. Like pray for wisdom instead of victory.
I feel like the red lady has to have more in her words than that. I don't know. Just the way she has been, she seems more cryptic than the surface level. I don't know what the deeper meaning is yet. I feel like there had to have been a deeper meaning.
I also feel like she's kind of more like me, where she's like, doesn't hold back. She spews out a lot of nonsense. Like, not nonsense, but like she's not afraid. She's not afraid to speak up. You know what I mean? So like,
all sorts of dumb shit.
I just expected her to have like a way more dialogue, I guess, in that conversation, and she like really didn't.
She didn't. She really didn't
had, like,
say much at
I
all.
didn't know that she had much place there either, though.
I thought it was. I forgot actually. I thought it was gonna be Davos, but
Oh yeah, gotcha.
I didn't remember. But
So anyway, after Kat tells him to pray, he says, "Loris, stay and help me pray.
Yeah.
It's been so long I've forgotten how.
red flag, red flag, red flag.
As for the rest of you, go back and get some sleep."
So hold on. When we think this makes me think of the last Tyrion chapter when he's thinking of Shataya and he's like, she thinks she's a priestess and she prays by having sex with people. That's like she told Tyrion that, and Brendan's like, "I'm gonna pray," and like she's just praying.
I need some help
he's doing
to pray.
Some southern. Yeah, he's just a Southern Islander.
He doesn't want to pray on his own.
He's adopted the Southern Island religion. He just doesn't know it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he said he pretty much just like says like, "Yeah, we're gonna fuck Stannis up tomorrow morning. Like, go to bed."
Yeah, and yeah. So basically,
We shall give Stannis a dawn. He will soon not forget.
he won't soon forget. He will soon not forget.
He will soon not forget. That's what I wrote.
He won't soon forget is what it says.
He will
Jeff said
soon not forget.
That's what you said.
He will soon. That's
Same
what
thing.
I wrote down.
Is that the same
He
thing?
will not soon forget.
Okay. I get confused with double negative sometimes. I was just making sure we were saying the same thing.
There
They're
wasn't
both
a double
the same.
negative though. He just moved
Yeah,
the
it's
knot.
just-
Okay.
It's all right.
I was confused. I'm drunk. I'm sorry. I'm stupid.
How are you this drunk already?
This is the third whiskey. It's going down smooth tonight. It's dangerous.
Yeah,
That's why it's dangerous when I drink whiskey on the podcast, because like I have no control.
Yeah.
And this
This
podcast, this
is the
episode,
same one.
I get fired up this episode, man. I don't know. It's going down smooth.
All right, so Robar Royce is joining her. We know the Royce family is of the Vale. We've heard the name. There was a Royce in the Night's Watch in the very first prologue.
Is that Waymore?
Yep.
Okay.
So just
I wonder-
another Royce. This guy's in all red.
I should know this, and I don't think it's in my notes. And my iPad's all fucked up, so I can't really check right now. I wonder if Waymar. I think Bronzion has 3 sons. And,
Right,
and
that would make sense.
Royce is the
There's
second.
one in the Vale, Royce, and then
They're all
Robar.
Royces.
Ro-
aren't they?
The
Ryman.
one in the Vale,
What's his name?
Robar?
Robar is the
Robar?
second. Sorry.
and the guy who died at the wall is the third.
We might know.
No?
We might know the third, but yeah, it might also be Wyman. Again, I can't really go through all my notes to find that out right now because my fucking shit's
Waymar,
Waymar.
Waymar, Robar, and who's the other one?
Oh my god.
Robar.
Did I say Wyman? That's
You did.
Manly. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to get you off. The
We're so
pod.
close to the end. Let's just keep this.
Wait, hang on. No, hang on. I only heard 2 names, Waymar and Robar.
I don't know the third one.
Okay.
The guy that's still in the Vale.
Yeah, I don't-
Third.
Okay.
The oldest is in the Vale still.
Okay.
We might also
fine. Okay.
if I could click on his name, we might also be able to know. But like, I fucked everything up, so I'll tell you next week.
All right. So she's like, "Why are you not in the Vale with your family?" He's like, "Well, I'm a second son. I need to find glory where I can."
Tourney's got boring, is what he
Tourney's
says.
got
I
boring.
needed to find glory, and Tourney's got boring, so I just came here. I was bored, and Kat is like,
she gets.
Kat's like, this guy's 21. Thank God, Rob at 15 is way smarter than this guy
Yeah.
has ever.
I mean, is he or is she just giving him a ton of credit?
dude, I don't know. Like, I feel like
Like,
again,
So Rob is fighting for something at least. This dude is
Sure.
just fighting for glory.
Just fighting
and
the fight.
That's
But
pretty much what
I
she's
think
saying.
Bran is of that. Bran was of that mindset.
so I think this is people say it all the time, in the fandom and stuff. Sweet summer child versus like the
Right.
like once you've like got through like book 4 or whatever, people are like, okay, now you're not a sweet summer child. Like once you know
Right.
enough of the spoilers, is like they refer, but like that's what old Nan calls Bran. Like, oh, you sweet summer
I'm a
child.
sweet summer child. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. We haven't really called it to you, but like any other podcast or anything that has ever had somebody who like is this early in the book, so you're being called a sweet summer child.
But like, all right, but just I want to hit on it. Like Bran had the same mindset as this guy. He was like, I'm going to be a knight. I'm going to go fight in tourneys. I want to be, songs sung about me.
And that's where the sweet summer child comes from. Old
Right.
man calls him sweet summer child. And
Yeah.
Also, what number of child is Bran?
He's a second son.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, technically. So I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and I'm sure
John,
it's a
third
lot of
son.
second
John's
sons.
a bastard though, so he
had
never
no
claim.
Right.
He's still a son.
So I bet it's a lot of second sons. Like, well, here's my brother. He's the heir. Like, I might as well go fucking go be a
and
knight.
I mean,
and
Brandon's even said something like that, where he's like, he's going to be king. What am I? I'm going to be the crippled lordling running around here, not doing it, or getting carried around here.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Speaking of, I saw a funny cosplay on the internet, and it was dude was Hodor and he had like a baby backpack carrier and it was a box of Raisin Bran in the backpack carrier, but it was like everything was crossed out except Bran.
Gotcha.
It's kind of funny.
I thought you were gonna say like just like a guy who had just had a baby. Like if I ever have a child, that's 100% gonna be what I go for Halloween next year. So I would just wear a baby backpack.
It was a box of Bran,
yeah,
which is much lighter than carrying a person around all day. So I don't blame him.
You could go for isn't there cereal with Bran in it? Raisin Bran. That's what you said.
That's what he said. Oh my god! So she goes back to the Northmen, and they're all like, "All right, like they're preparing for a battle. Do we fight or flee?"
There's no way this is normal proof.
And she says, "We pray."
It's 90 proof. We pray.
And that's it.
Exactly.
That's the chapter. Kyle, what's your prediction for this battle?
I mean, it's not going to go well, obviously, for either side. I mean, I think even if Renly wins and kicks the shit out of everybody, like he still is going to kill his brother.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
It's still not the best outcome.
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody, most people don't want to kill their brother.
And I think just like being a what's that called? Kinslayer is just looked kind of like.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like he's going to lose. Like he was worried about everybody being afraid of, or not afraid, but thinking he was afraid of his brother. Excuse me. Thinking he was afraid of his brother, but now here he is. He's about to kill his brother. Right?
Which almost gives almost
better?
Yeah, it gives almost as big of a negative image in people's heads. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a good prediction as to who's going to win. I mean, I think the obvious thing is the number side here. Like, how do you argue that? But beyond that, and
I think that's really the only thing that advances in this chapter. Kat's kind of behind everybody else in terms of news. She catches up with a bunch of stuff.
She's back by a million miles.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, my prediction is Renly's going to win, and but I don't know that it's going to be good for anybody. So.
All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, Jeff, what movie did you mention? It'll be in the Discord.
The Godfather.
Link will be in the Discord. So will the picture of the Hodor be in the Discord. And we'll see you guys in the next chapter, which is Sansa something. I'm going to guess 4. It might be wrong,
4. I'm with you on 4.
Glow always says it way too confidently, and then he's wrong a lot of the time. And I realize
I think he does pretty good.
I don't know how to fix it. I think if our fans either don't realize it all or they do realize and they're like, nobody's keeping track. Nobody gives a fuck what the next number is.
Nobody cares.
It's the
all right.
next chapter.
Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
All right, later, guys.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Bye, Kyle. See you later, Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us. Now on the spoiler section of Cat 3. Boys, what are your hot takes?
You did a super high-pitched voice for Glow earlier, and now you got the low-pitched voice.
I think I tried to actually fake being him.
See you later,
Kyle. Thanks for hanging out with us. Come on, boys.
All right, I'll go first, Jeff.
No, I got first.
There's only two of us. I'll go first.
All right, go.
Kat thinks about the trees being cut down. If Ned rested there, is there any Bran? I know there's trees, right? Bran can see through trees. What if
is it all trees winds, or does it need a face?
I don't know, but what? I mean, they say that. I think if we go to the Bran chapter, Jojen says you don't even need a tree. So you can go just to open air. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. But I mean, even if it is just trees, just say if it is trees. What if we get wouldn't it be cool if we get a chapter in Winds where it's just Bran is looking at Ned in front of a huge castle with circle walls or something like that?
I want to kind of play off this too in my first quote. So I think it'll be just kind of to keep it going when the story of building the 7th castle and they're the children of the forest maybe helped, or it was this little boy, Bran the Builder.
Exactly.
I don't think it was Bran the Builder or Children of the Forest. I'm all in on time traveling Bran.
Time traveling Bran, time traveling back into Bran the Builder.
Sure.
Yeah. Or the other thing. So the one thing I like this, and I don't want to leave it. I do want to come back to it. But they say that Dragonstone is made of fused stone.
Okay.
Right. And I don't know if we ever get a description of Storm's End from somebody else besides Kat, but she says the stones are put together in a way that there's no cracks and crevices. Right. Okay. What does that sound like? Again, maybe
fused
I'm
stone. Are you saying fused stone?
Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same. And what's fused stone?
Like melted down and forged.
Like concrete, basically, right?
Okay,
If you just melt down rocks, it turns it. I mean, it's not exactly how it works, but like concrete is basically like liquid rock.
Yeah.
It sort of hardens into.
Right. Okay.
Theoretically, people think that what happened in Dragonstone was dragons were used to actually melt rock, and then somehow they shaped it.
Okay.
But maybe they made like just like they do with concrete.
Yeah.
Maybe they right.
I'm with you.
Maybe they made Storm's End the same way. And the thing is, they sound different because when we hear of Dragonstone being
but it sounds like you can see the brick. It sounds like you can see the bricks, though.
It does. It does. It sounds like it's just like very expertly crafted together. Yeah. And she even says like the inside is sand, and there's like a layer of rubble and then a layer of sand. I don't know. I just thought like, is there a chance that like there's some magic-y stuff going on here too? And to Kyle's point, like this story probably isn't true, right? There's probably not like storm gods, but like. If it's not true, then like what is the history of this castle? Like,
well,
where did it come from?
I'm gonna say it probably got. It just sounds like it's in like Florida. Like Storm's End is the Florida of
Hurricane Belt. What's that called?
So yeah, right. So
it's just like tornado belt, the hurricane
pounded
country.
Year by year by hurricanes and storms. Like they needed to do what they did, or it would like they're tired of fixing it. So like, all right, like
they build like buildings in Florida with like special. Like don't like skyscrapers in Florida like wobble, but they're built to like wobble.
Well, I think all of them do.
Oh, maybe because they all get wins. Yeah, they all get wins. But I know there's like they build shit differently in different areas
for sure.
Right. So I mean,
for sure,
same thing. But
like a lot of the houses, I think, are 1 story in Florida. Like you don't get a lot of 2-story homes.
Yeah.
But no, I when they like mentioned children, like it's just weird that young little boy Bran the Builder helped out. Like. What the fuck did little boy Bran the Builder know?
Yeah, again, I don't know. Like, it's so weird. Like, even like how old Nan talks about like to Bran. I think she's even done it. I think it was in the first book when she's like, "There's so many Bran," and Bran even says like, "Old Nan confuses me because old Nan's so old that she's seen like my uncle."
Right.
Right. So like she knew she was so old that she was here when my uncle was my age. So like. She confuses me with that Bran. I mean, even Bran's uncle is Brandon Stark. Then we hear Bran in the Shipwright, Bran in the Burner, Bran in the Builder. How many Brans are there? Right? Is time traveling Bran going back into all of them? And it's honestly a really cool story. If you're Bran, say you're a paralyzed boy, and then you end up in this tree, and you have the ability to just go back and just take over different people's minds, right? And say, I'm just going to go be every Bran ever. So you go back to the first one and you're like, you know what? I don't have now I have legs. I can do wherever the fuck I want. I'm just going to sail. I'm going to go everywhere. I'm just going to sail the seas. And you sail. And it turns out horribly. So then you time travel into the next Bran and you're like, you know what? We're never doing that again because that turned out horrible. And he burns all the ships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense. I mean, it's just a little
totally
goofy.
Guessing right now.
Like,
that's
why would he only time travel into Brandon's?
Yeah, there's no
he can time travel anywhere he wants. Like you don't have to.
He could be dead.
But it's just like this little kid's helping build this castle. Like bullshit. Like not true. I just can't. It's got to be. It's got to be something. It seems like there's something. It's weird that they would even mention it. Like they could have just said like, oh, it was forged. This castle was forged by magic, and just said forged by magic. But it brings up the Children of the Forest, and it brings up a Bran, and that's just like that's goofy.
You got Chekhov's gun. Which is don't mention a gun. Don't say there's a gun hanging on a wall when you talk about a room unless someone's going to use a gun. And then you got the George R. R. Martin Bran. Don't mention a little weird boy showing up.
If you don't want us to think time traveling,
if it's not going to be time traveling,
is this a thing? Like, have people talked about this? I'd be curious.
So again, if you look at those videos that we posted in the last Bran chat for the last Bran chapter again, so all this will be in the Discord. So anybody who's kind of new to the podcast, the idea of the Discord hopefully is that there's a few channels in there, so like podcast resources and stuff like that. That the only stuff that we're ever going to post in those channels is like links and maps, so that if you join and we've been podcast and you join and you're 2 years late or whatever, right? And you're listening to a podcast that's 2 years old, hopefully you can still join that Discord and scroll back and go find anything you need. So like that's kind of the idea. So if you go back and you look at the stuff that we posted for the last Bran chapter, whatever that was, you can still find it in the podcast resources. All the time traveling Bran videos. He talks about how like the guy who makes those videos, Preston Jacobs, he was making Game of Thrones content. He might not be making content for it, but he read it before the show came out. So he talks a lot about like what the fans were thinking way back then. And he's like, people were tossed around the idea of time traveling Bran, but it wasn't like no one really confirmed. Like people, it was kind of a crackpot theory until the show showed the Hodor thing.
Right.
And then all that shit came back to life, and a lot of those theories came back up because the show confirmed it. I mean, it's exactly what Bran does is time travel.
The show even showed like him yelling to his dad, like before he even fucked up Hodor's mind. Like he was,
but it never had an effect. It was one of those things like Bran yelled and Ned heard the wind, the leaves rustling, which is kind of like what you're saying with Osha. Like maybe that is the gods talking, right? And it's like just like a lesser extent.
For sure. I mean, that's like Osha just gave me those same vibes. Like I definitely believe it. All right, but it's just curious how you were thinking of like trees with Ned. Like why bring like okay, Ned was here. Sure, Ned was also a lot of places. Like we haven't heard.
To me, it was just like a weird paragraph for Cat to throw in there. Like, oh, Ned probably hung out under these trees that are now gone. I'm like, who gives a fuck about trees except for. And like George R. Martin just like always talks about trees. Like he's like, there was a row of sentinels. Like how many times have you heard George say a row of sentinels?
That's just a part of like building the land. But he does like his trees. Like this big oak, like Dunk rests his head on a big oak.
Exactly, shit. Or underneath the elm, and that's now his sigil. Like all these different types of trees.
All right, so the next thing I have is the peach. Let's talk about it. It's goofy. It's weird. What's going on?
I love the peach.
All right, do you want to save it for? You want to save it for last? I just have like some little. I
got a bunch of little stuff.
All right, let's save the peach for the last then.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll do peach last.
All right, your next one.
Stannis knew before Jon. And I kind of wish Glow was here for this one because I feel like this was something we talked about a ton in the first book because like we just didn't know. Like we knew that Jon and Stannis, Jon Aaron, I'm talking about Jon and Stannis were both working on the incest thing, right?
Right.
But like, it almost seemed like Jon was telling Stannis, or like I don't know if I ever knew Stannis was the one that tipped Jon off. Like,
it was like, hey, we need to find proof of this now. Like, start looking through books.
Stannis makes it seem in this chapter like Jon would never have been doing any of that like digging if not for him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I got that same kind of.
I don't know if it matters, but interesting, and we'll definitely have to keep that in mind, like when we're like looking forward on like. So like just like the whole like I'm sure at some point in like the Littlefinger when I've talked about like Littlefinger's big plan, I've probably assumed that Littlefinger was the one that told Jon, right? Because it kind of leads to a lot of the stuff. I mean. I don't know if it really matters, but I put a little red herring out there for Kyle today too. I said that Cersei tried to kill Bran. Yeah, that was a red herring because she didn't try and kill Bran, but it was a little bit of a spoiler because the very beginning of the next chapter, that's like a big plot point. Is Kat remembers that she remembers like Bran died. It was probably Cersei. Hold on, Renly. And the thing is, Kat honestly thinks Renly doesn't believe in the incest.
Right, which is just crazy.
Which is crazy. And what Kat says
it actually caught me by surprise when he like was calling his face like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like you were there the whole time. Like you brought up.
Which is what I was saying. He's just playing with Stannis there. Maybe I was giving Kyle a little bit too much. But Kat, I think it's crazy that I mean the thing is all this is completely new to Kat. She wasn't on the inside like Stannis or Renly. Like which is why it just is it's new to her. But when she realizes that like, Bran probably died because of this, and she goes to Renly. She's like, Renly, please don't go to battle. Just let me ride to Stannis and talk to him. Like, this is true. And he's like, I know it was true. I'm pretty sure this is how it goes. Like, I know it was true. Like, it doesn't change anything. I have a bigger army. I'm not just going to give it to Stannis.
Yeah.
I just, like, it doesn't help. Which is exactly what we were saying.
That's what happens before he gets shadow killed.
I don't think it's as hard as that, as, like, brutal from Renly as that. But, it's basically Kat says, I have proof. I'm pretty sure. Like, just let me write. Like, we can just settle this. Just wait, and we'll get Bran. We'll just go get Bran. He's woken up, and he'll tell you guys everything, is what she says. And then he, shadow killed. But I don't think he wasn't going to go for it anyway. I don't think. But I think it's again kind of crazy.
So
Stannis thinks Cersei killed Jon.
Are we going back and forth or not?
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So, we mentioned in the non-spoiler, Renly just him and Lars are lovers type deal.
Yeah.
You got she's gonna die, made in your bed. He stays back to pray with him, and he picks him for the van, which really doesn't make sense when he's got a lot of veteran knights around him that have been to war before, not just tourneys.
I mean, the biggest thing is he says the best knight deserves the most glory. Literally last chapter, you had this guy got beat by a better knight, Brienne.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, how do you say he's the best knight? Like, it's like after the Super Bowl, it's like say after the Super Bowl we got invaded by aliens, right?
And they're like, oh, we need the best football team.
You have to send us the best football team. And then Roger Goodell's like, oh, we're sending the Packers, even though the Packers lost in the divisional round. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, you can't just decide who. We already did, we have this competition for this reason.
For sure.
But, yeah.
No, it's all right. So I got that one. Go ahead with your next one.
Again, just another one. Stannis thinks Cersei killed Jon. Yeah, I think we kind of talked about this like already.
Yeah.
John was killed by Lysa via Littlefinger.
Right.
Just that they're all wrong. That they all think that it was Cersei.
I mean, it just kind of like gives you credit to Littlefinger when you find out that it was him. Like, he literally had the gun pointing at everybody else, everyone else but him.
I just feel like Stannis is one of those guys who seems to know what's right.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like what's right or wrong, but like he's one of the only ones who knows about the incest. But I guess the one thing he doesn't know is the Jon Arryn thing.
Right.
Which is what puts him a step behind everybody.
I mean, it puts him way behind everybody.
I mean,
not really, because
it puts him way behind
really,
Littlefinger.
Everyone, I mean, who really alive is thinking foul play with Jon Arryn?
Only
who thinks that Jon Arryn was murdered? That's still alive. Nobody
everybody
really
thinks he was murdered, but everybody thinks he was murdered by Cersei.
Who?
Anybody who knows about the incest thinks he was murdered by Cersei to cover up the incest.
Okay.
Not that it matters,
but we haven't heard like Renly say like, oh no, Jon Arryn was definitely murdered, or like I haven't. Maybe Varys has brought it up, but I'm saying like Tywin's like, oh no, Jon Arryn was murdered. Like,
what I honestly feel like is when I wrote this note down that says Stannis thinks Cersei killed Jon. When I wrote it, I was soberer than I am now, and I thought that would spark an idea. Like I was like, oh, this will be enough for me to know what I want to say, but I don't. But so we'll just move on.
All right. There's a lot of Dawn talk here.
Those are the last two I have besides Peach. So I thought you would like that. I know you're the new Dawn guy.
I'm a Dawn guy.
Yeah.
I'm Dawn guy.
I have two written down. Come the dawn, we shall see is what Stannis tells Renly right as they leave.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then Renly says to everybody, give Stannis a dawn he won't soon forget.
Yep.
So, I mean, Dawn is Lightbringer.
Dawn,
and I also like how we also played Kyle pretty good with the whole like, ooh, Lightbringer's fancy. Makes me realize, I bet you we never see Lightbringer if Mel's not next right there. Is that why Mel's here?
Probably. That makes sense.
It's got a ruby on its hilt.
That thing was fucking. That thing was fucking burnt. Like I remember, Crescent was like, "Well, that sword, you can't even use that sword. It's burnt to a crisp." I don't think
he said that much, but he was just like, he didn't because Crescent wasn't even at the burning. You said it was the prologue. I don't want to be all nitpicky, but Crescent dies in the prologue. The burning is the first Davos chapter, which is after.
Well, then it was Davos. Whatever. Davos was really like, "You can't use that sword. That sword is worthless."
I don't think that's what he said. It's got to be the same sword. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I assume it was just like he said like a burnt sword. He definitely said burnt, but I thought it was more of like a poetic thing where he's like a flaming sword looks more like a burnt sword to me because he had stuck it in the ground or whatever, and now there was like ash on it. But I didn't take it to be.
So like, what do we think about these dawns? Are these just like bullshit dawns, or
I think?
Does it have anything to do with actual Lightbringer, or is this just red herrings? Like, hey, this is Lightbringer. Like, here's all these Dawn mentioned type shit.
It's weird. I wonder if we go back and look at that Davos chapter again, and I assume maybe both of us would have noticed it if it had it in it. But I wonder if there was a lot of Dawn references, like Dawn mentions in that chapter as well. Like maybe they're just gonna say the word Dawn a lot in chapters where Lightbringer actually shows up.
Yeah.
Like maybe that was in Davos a lot. You know
yeah, maybe. I don't recall. I mean,
we can find out real quick.
What was the chapter that got me all fired up on Dawn? Do you remember?
Dany. A Dawn rose in her heart.
Yeah.
And Nisa, which Kyle was on a little Nisa today.
Yeah, he doesn't remember, which I don't expect him to. He'll forget about Nisa 4 times over.
All right, I just did a search of ice and fire for Dawn. Let's see. Prologue. It's actually in the prologue 3 times. An old man turned away from the dawn. Comet's tail spread across the dawn. This is early come calling, scarce past dawn. A couple arias, but normally it's actually just because like by dawn the fire had burned itself out, like actually using like dawn. The next day dawn broke. This is Dany. The next day dawn broke as they were crossing a cracked and fissured plain of hard red earth. Dawn cracked. Let's see what we're looking for. We're looking for Davos. I just don't know what order it is. No, it's not. It's not in the Davos one.
The red sword of heroes looks a proper mess, thought Davos. Burnt and blackened sword.
Yeah.
It's not this sword that she was talking about, that's for sure.
Dude, I think they could have just wiped it off. And well, the thing is, I think Mel is just glamoring it.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I agree. That makes more sense.
Because it's got the ruby on it. And then what the whole reason we kind of know it's fake, or not know, but the kind of nail in the coffin, at least for most of the fans, is when Sam is with Aemon on the ship. They're talking about Dawn. Aemon's fucking blind. And he's like, Lightbringer. He's like, there's no heat.
Oh, yeah.
It can't be Lightbringer. There's no heat. I'm blind. That was a normal sword. I would know. And we're like, oh, fuck. And because it's got the ruby. And around the same time, we're finding out that Mel can glamour shit that has rubies on it because of the whole Mance Raider thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's no mentions of Dawn in that Davos chapter. I just did a quick search of Ice and Fire. Awesome website. I'll put it in the website in the Discord. You can just type any word or phrase in there and click a little checkbox for which books, and it'll show you anytime that word or phrase shows up in the books and the passage it shows up in. But yeah, so Dawn stuff. I don't know. I just think it's really weird that there's a. I thought they were like, and it's not like the Arya ones. They're like, oh, we walked from dawn to dusk.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come the dawn, we shall see.
Yeah.
Or we'll give Stannis.
Are we going to see
dawn,
Ghost?
He won't forget.
Ghost Renly when it comes down to Dawn or Lightbringer actually being there, or do like all the.
What do you mean?
Like when Dawn actually happens and there's actual Lightbringer and Nisa, whatever. Like this new Nisa, like does some fucking crazy thing happen where like these ghosts, like I don't know. I'm just trying to think like.
How much whiskey have you had, Jeff?
Are these all fake Dawns? Like, what's going on? All right, I got two more.
Hold on. I've actually, when I did the search of Ice Fire, there's one more Dawn quote in this one, and it seems kind of like one of the ones that we're talking about, just like in passing.
Okay.
As you will, Sir Robar. Give Lady Stark safe escort to the Sept, but see that she returns to us by dawn. So, Stannis Renly dies.
Mm-hmm.
Return to us, like come to me if he's dead, like Ghost in heaven. Cat's gonna come to Renly by dawn. He's killed by Lightbringer.
Okay.
That's how Cat is going to next come back to Renly. That's a stretch.
We're stretching. We're stretching for sure.
That's what we do. That's what we do in this whole segment. But I don't know. There you go. Maybe John's gonna kill.
Well, I'll kind of play off that with one of my quotes.
Stoneheart.
I'm gonna play off that with one of my quotes. She's a poor envoy, but she's a good mourner. Yeah. So she's gonna die,
throner.
right?
She's a great morning throner.
She's a great morning throner. No, I hate her. We can assume that she becomes Stoneheart, right?
Yeah, I mean
she's basically mourning her family's death. The whole that's all she's really doing.
She's getting vengeance,
but she's
hanging people.
Right. I think if you're getting vengeance, you're mourning. That's all she's doing in her second life.
It's the stages of what? Stages of grief or stages of mourning?
Stages of grief, I think. Yeah.
Mourning is a stage of grief, or grief is a stage of mourning.
Mourning and grief, mourning and being in grief are the same thing. There's like 6 stages of going through it. Like there's anger.
No, you can't have grief without mourning. Mourning is only after death, but you can have grief without death, right?
Maybe you're right.
Words are hard. We're drunk.
All right, so I thought it was just a little bit of a hint of her being Lady Stoneheart, of just being a mourner. Renly wants her to watch the battle. There's obviously...
Gotcha. There was a watching... She said something... Did she think about watching them? There was some... No. I was talking to you when I was taking notes, and she thinks... Maybe it was before Stannis and Renly show up at like the meeting place. There's a time where she's like, I'm a good watcher, or like... And I was like, oh my god, Cat and her fucking watching again. But maybe that was
it. I didn't catch that, but she well, Renly's like, look, you're gonna watch this battle and you're gonna take it back to Rob. Well, she does. She's one of the only 2 people that actually do see what happens.
Well, the thing is, she's not. You're 100% right about that. And the thing that she always thinks about, you said it, like when we were doing the non-spoiler, when she like barks up, and Stannis is like, you're out of line. And she's like, she's like, I should knock your heads together. You're acting like my kids. I throw you in a room to remember your brothers. She's like, okay. He's like, hey, you crossed the line. Renly's the first traitor, and your son's gonna be next. She thinks about that a fuck ton. She just keeps thinking about that, and then seeing the shadow of Stan because she knows it's Stannis, and she's like, "Oh my god, like this is so bad for Rob." You know what I mean? Like that sticks with her. So like, she does see. You know what I mean? Like she waits and she sees what fuck happens to traitors.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't happen to Rob, but there is the whole leech in the fire. I don't know exactly if that happens the same in the books or not, but.
All right, let's get to the peach.
All right, peach one. So most of this, I again, kind of like I said with Kyle, I wasn't really lying. I don't really, be honest, I'm not going to take credit for other people's ideas. I don't know what the fuck this was, but it feels important. So I did a little Googling last night. So I found this Reddit post that talks about, I guess it's kind of been bounced around. It looks like it's been referenced a bunch. I'll post the link in the Discord, but I'm going to read it real quick. It's not short, but it's not super long.
I'm not in a rush.
George gets a lot of flack for his food imagery, but let's talk about peaches. This is by user ufatwalda, which is I think this is 7 years ago. I think this is an OG. Like I've heard this person be mentioned in other podcasts. Like this is an OG fucking post. This is an OG A Song of Ice and Fire's fan. This person might actually have like a YouTube channel. If they do, I'm super sorry. Like I've definitely heard them mention on like Lucifer Brings Lightbringer or like some of those other like really high like really popular Alt Shift X type stuff. Like they like there's definitely some they're in the community. Let's say that for sure. So I'll start over. And the thing says millions of peaches for me, which is, do you know that song? Oh my! I'll put the link to that song in the Discord as well. It's a jam. George gets a lot of flack for his food imagery, but let's talk about peaches. The song is just called "Peaches" by the United States of America.
Peaches and cream.
George gets a lot of flack for his food imagery, but let's talk about peaches. All this of snakes and incest is droll, but it changes nothing. You may well have the better claim, Stannis, but I still have the larger army. Renly's hand slid inside his cloak. Stannis saw and reached at once for the hilt of his sword. Before he could draw his steel, his brother produced a peach. Would you like one, brother? Renly asked, smiling. From Highgarden. You've never tasted anything so sweet. I promise you. He took a bite. Juice ran down from the corner of his mouth. I did not come here to eat fruit. Stannis was fuming. My lords, Catelyn said, we ought to be hammering out terms of an alliance, not trading taunts. A man should never refuse to taste a peach, Renly said as he tossed the stone away. He may never get the chance again. Life is short, Stannis. Remember what the Starks say. Winter is coming. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. So, just that quote right there, Renly's about to die. So, just the part where he says, this is not from the Reddit post, this is just me. Because I wanted to read this quote, but I didn't want to be too open-handed with Kyle. Again, I don't think it's a spoiler because I don't know what the fuck it means, but I'm sure this post will talk about stuff that Kyle probably shouldn't hear. But just the fact that it says, you should never refuse to taste a peach. Life is short. You may never get the chance again. Renly's about to die. He's literally going to die tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I mean, like, live in the moment.
And he's sending that message too, which is different, you know?
Like, doesn't that, you have to make, you would make
it's
it think,
the YOLO thing. It's like he's living.
If you're Stannis, you feel guilty. And it gets to, Stannis brings us up later, and it's in this Reddit post. I'll just keep reading the Reddit post. So after the quote, it says, I was reminded of this passage today when I was reading about the cultural significance of peaches on a Wikipedia's entry on peaches. The term bitten, and this is a quote from Wikipedia, the term bitten peach first used by the legalist philosopher Han Vey in his work Han Visi became a byword for homosexuality. This is we're talking about the bitten peach here. The book records the incident when courtier Mizi Kai bit into a delicious peach and gave the remainder to his lover, Duke Ling of Wei, as a gift so that he could taste it as well. Now, I'm not saying Renly was propositioning his brother, but I like the way George uses the theme of peach to represent hedonism, which is just like the search for pleasure, like above all else, like just always having pleasure. He describes a similar lascivious scene where Jorah brings Dany a peach and then watches her devour as the juice runs down her face. When Arya is traveling with the Brotherhood, they stop at what appears to be an inn called the Peach. Above the door hung a wooden shingle, painted as a peach, with a big bite taken out of it. The inn turns out to be a brothel. Asha recalls a summer in her youth spent with Carl the maid. This is another quote. When Asha had first met him, Carl had been trying to raise a beard. Peach fuzz, she had called it, laughing. Carl had confessed that he had never tasted peach, so she told him he must join her on the next voyage south. It had still been summer then. Robert sat the Iron Throne, Balin brooded on the Seastone Chair, and the Seven Kingdoms were at peace. Asha sailed the Black Wind down the coast, trading. They called it Fair Isle and Lannisport, and a score of smaller ports before reaching the Arbor, where the peaches were always huge and sweet. You see, she'd said, the first time she'd held one up against Carl's cheek when she made him try a bite, the juice ran down his chin and she'd had to kiss it clean. The most common reference to peaches in the book is probably in describing young men's appetites and facial hair, more imagery of youth and vibrancy in summer. In later conversations with Davos, Stannis attempts to pardon himself for his brother's assassination, but still feels guilt and confusion over Renly's offer of the peach. Renly offered me a peach at our parlay, mocked me, defied me, threatened me, and offered me a peach. I thought he was drawing a blade and went for my own. Was that his purpose, to make me show fear? Or was it one of his pointless jests? When he spoke of how sweet the peach was, did his words have some hidden meaning? The king gave a shake of his head, like a dog shaking a rabbit to snap its neck. Only Renly could vex me so with a piece of fruit. He brought his doom on himself with treason, but I did love him, Davos. I know that now. I swear, I will go to my grave thinking of my brother's peach. Of course, Stannis doesn't understand Renly's peach. Stannis finds his brother's lifestyle in general to be frivolous, and perhaps rightly so. Stannis' response to winter approaching is prepare for the long night, not revel in the last light of summer. Stannis, after all, is the man who subsists on rats and book leather and onions rather than relinquished in his castle. What will become of these young sweet things when winter comes, and when peaches are no more?
Dun, dun, dun,
This quote this Reddit post will be in the in the Discord in case you want to read it. But I think that's pretty good. First off, I didn't know the term bitten peach had any symbolism with homosexuality, which again might be another point towards Renly.
I love peaches.
I love peaches
too. Peaches are top 3 fruit for sure.
So I did a little. I don't just read things and take them at face value. I do my own research. So I went to Wikipedia for peaches. Nothing about homosexuality. If you look up bitten peach, you'll find the story that was mentioned here, where like a bitten peach. But Renly does bite it once and throw it away. So I mean, take that. It's just a bitten. It's a bitten peach. And,
one bite, bitten.
And I don't think the rest of the mentions of this have any indication of homosexuality. They're all just kind of more about living in the moment and just like a lot about just like love and pleasure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jorah and Dany, Arya in a brothel. A brothel's all about pleasure, right?
Yeah.
Asha and Carl the maid, just like on a young teenagers on a trip to like on a vacation, just like having lots of sex and eating peaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Renly's basically like Stannis, your life sucks, dude, and it's not because you're not rich. You're rich. It's because you don't enjoy life. You just have to enjoy life.
I agree with that. Like everything is duty to him. Like there's no enjoyment to his life.
I mean, I think this is a huge thing that anybody can take away from. Like, I think like we can learn a lot from books, especially fiction. This is something that you can take away from this, right? Stannis has so much, right? There's so many people in the world that have a ton of shit like Stannis,
and still not happy.
Unhappy. Exactly. Yeah. And there's some people who have nothing, and they're just happy as shit, right? It's just life's what you make it. Don't be all pissy all the time.
Yeah. Life lessons from Nelson.
Eat your peaches.
Eat a peach every now and again.
But yeah, I like the peaches stuff. Definitely hit us up in the Spoiler Talk Discord with anything you guys think. Like, if you have different opinions or anything like that, let us know.
Yeah. Alrighty.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Sansa, I'm guessing 4. Bye, guys.